I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today to bring you a review of a very cool set of Bluetooth headphones. These are from the company August. They are the EP636 model headphones. I've got them here in the red color. They also come in a black, which I will talk about the black pair in just a moment, a silver and a white. I really like the look of these red ones here, the overall color scheme, kind of a satin looking finish, and very cool. As soon as I pulled them out of the box, I got a reaction from everybody in the family, from my wife to my kids, teenagers, young ones, and they were immediately all wanted their own pair of them. And so initial reaction from the family is very positive. They're sleek looking and great finish on them, and just have a nice compact look. The one thing that I will say when it comes to the overall look here, the only negative is that they're not collapsible in any way. And so while you can extend the actual how long that they will come out in this way, as far as kind of storing them, that's about as small as you get. And so they don't really collapse into a little pouch or anything, and for that matter, they don't come with any kind of protective pouch. But the overall look of them is very stylish, and I like that. Now, of course, these are Bluetooth headphones, and so as a result, there are no wires here, which is the advantage of using headphones like this. And they are also, although they have the band, they are very lightweight. They come in at 4.5 ounces or 135 grams. And so the good news is that you're not going to notice the weight of them at all. They're very light. They also have very good battery life, 14 hours worth of usage, and then a standby time of 480 hours. And they charge quickly, about 2.5 hours to go from full charge. One other little thing kind of on the battery life that I like, that it's not always consistent, but on my iDevices, be it my tablet, my iPad, or my phone, which I have an iPhone 6, on all of them, it will show the battery life in the top right corner. And so that's always a nice thing to be able to have that visual recognition of how much battery is there and to know when the battery is starting to get low on them. Now, when you go to charge them, there's just a little micro USB port. There is a micro USB charge cable included, but you're going to have to find your own power source for sending power to it. Good news for that standard is it's not proprietary, it's shared by a host of things. And if you have an Android phone, for example, your charge cable will fit this. And so you're more likely to have them around, and I'm finding that more and more devices are going to this particular standard. On the right side of the August EP636 headphones, you'll find a familiar feeling kind of circular rocker. If you had an older generation iPod, this will look pretty familiar and feel familiar. It's the same circular kind of thing beside around an enter or play pause button, and that has a lot of different functions. That is the power button and the sync button, and also play and pause for usage. And then if you're using it in the hands-free call function, it's that button that you will use to take and receive or to hang up on calls. And so around that, you have rocking in either direction. You have a forward track, reverse track, and then in the up and down position, you have the volume level. And I actually really like this design implementation. For one thing, it's so familiar in the tactile sense that most of the time you're accessing it without looking at it. And the fact that it has such a familiar interface, I think, is a handy thing. And it's also nice and stylish looking in that sense. On the note of the fit here, these will rock a little bit to accommodate fit, and as you can see, there is about 1 inch of extension. Now, I have a smallish head, and I find them to be a great fit. And for me, they're not uncomfortable at all, but I can even run in them without any kind of movement. They stay nice and stable. But I suspect that if you had a larger head, you might find these a little bit more of a tight fit. And they're not heavily padded. There is padding on the earpieces, but it's not as heavily padded as some. And so if there was a lot of pressure on your head, you might find them over the long term to be a little bit more uncomfortable. For me, they're great. This, as I've mentioned, does include a call function, which is always a nice plus, and it's got a built-in microphone, and I've taken some calls. I could hear people great, of course, much greater isolation of the sound of their voice, and I haven't heard any complaints about the sound of my voice through the microphone that's built in. I did note in some of the user reviews that some people said that they didn't find the mic quality to be exceptional, and but as far as the conversations that I've had, I've not had anybody complain about not being able to hear me. Now, as far as the wireless functionality, not only are these Bluetooth, but they also support NFC or near-field communications. And so if you have, for example, an Android device, pairing is as simple as putting it in pairing mode and just tapping the devices together. If you're going to pair for the first time, I found them to pair up very quickly. And one thing to note, that if you're switching from device to device and you've already, paired with another, it'll pair with if you're just syncing up to the device you've been previously using, it happens almost instantaneously. But if you want to switch to another device, here's the tip. From powered off, hold down beyond the initial sound that it will make when it powers on hold down for about 5 seconds, and it'll make a secondary tone that'll put it back into pairing mode, and then you can quickly pair it with another device. As I noted, I've even used these for running, and I've been on a bit of a quest to find a decent pair of Bluetooth buds. I was looking for buds because I thought they would be better for running, and I've tried 3 or 4 different pair, and I've really not been satisfied with any of them. I find a few things. Number one, I find that the Bluetooth signal is not strong enough. So if I'm running with my phone or an iPod Nano, which is my preferred device, I want to be able to just slip it in a pocket, in a jacket, or in my track pants. But I find that with the buds that I've used, the signal will cut in and out. And basically you're left trying to hold the device in your hand while you run, which is less than perfect, obviously, but having to do that to get a strong enough signal. So I was really delighted when I went out for a run with these, because the signal is super strong. In fact, the overall Bluetooth signal is stronger than any pair of headphones that I've used before, and it's no problem to leave the room from your device and head somewhere else, and it cuts out at a far later point than anything else that I've used. And so that was great. I had no cutout while I ran. It didn't move on me at all. The other thing I found is that often when you're running, just the constant movement, is that slowly but surely one or the other of the buds always seems to be slowly moving back out of your ear canal. And so you'll note the volume level starting to drop in one ear or another. The volume level was really constant, and for running, the sound quality, which I'll get to in a moment, was just perfect for that. And so I really liked it for that, and these will be my new running headphones of choice. What I'll have to determine over the long run is how well these hold up to sweat, which of course is the killer for headphones like this. As far as the sound quality, number one, these pack a pretty serious punch. They have a surprising amount of bass, and really surprising when you consider that the frequency response, according to the specifications, only goes down to 80 hertz, not down to the really deep 20 hertz range that some of the more serious studio monitors like what I have will achieve. So I was surprised by how much bass that they have. They also have a tremendous amount of volume, and I found comparatively with other headphones, I had to have my audio source turned down much lower by comparison to what I normally do. And that was true both with video and with music content. And so they certainly have a lot of punch in that regard. I found the sound to be quite warm, almost analog in a surprising way. And so that's good and bad depending on the musical style. For some kinds of music it sounds fantastic, just a lot of low end and a lot of overall punch. But if you need a little bit more dynamics, I found that that's the area that I was left wanting just a little bit. And my typical studio monitors have more clarity on the high end and a little better kind of placement of sound or sound effects. But for overall just kind of listening, particularly if you're in a noisy environment, these are really great because they really do have a serious amount of punch. But if you're wanting to kind of do more sophisticated listening, you might prefer another set that has a little bit more of a dynamic sound to it. As far as the lag issue that's there with basically every set of Bluetooth headphones when it comes to looking at video content, if I very, very carefully watched for it, I could detect just the slightest bit of lag between the movement of the lips and the sound. However, it's faint enough that without actually watching for it, my brain was able to overcome it and I didn't notice it at all. And so good news on that front. Now, perhaps the best news of all when it comes to these is that they retail at a really, really inexpensive price. And it surprised me by how little. In the US, I'll throw a link down below to Amazon. You can find them for $32.95. Here in Canada, another link down below. You can find them for $39.95 Canadian, which really, it's a great price. And I think the quality of these and the sound quality really is punching above that bargain price point. And so I have no problem giving these a recommendation, as long as you're not looking for something too sophisticated. But if you're looking for just a great sound and a nice form factor, I found them to be really, really great to use. And they've kind of become my go-to just everyday headphones right now. And so I have no problem giving them a recommendation. I also have no problem giving away a pair of these, and I've got one in the black look here and brand new from the manufacturer. And also, if you'll look down below, there are ways that you can get your ballots in and so that you can win a pair of these for yourself for free. I'm Dustin Abbott. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Have a great day.